يلا بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق وسيد المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. In the name of Allah, the compassionate, the gracious, the merciful, and may the peace and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon His Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam and on his family and all of those who follow in his footsteps. Allahumma ameen. Welcome to another session of our series on the hereafter. So first I'd like to welcome our two new brothers, Benjamin and Jason. May Allah bless both of them. They recently took Shahada. And it's just an amazing thing to have you with us in the community, to help you out in the journey as brothers, and inshallah, grow together, right? Welcome home. And please greet your brothers, get to know them. Make sure you do that, man. They're members of the family now. And, on a note, majority of people do not know what a revert or convert's journey looks like, right? And we have so much to learn from both of you. And it's not easy. Making that decision in our lives is not easy. But what a beautiful thing when you take on a purpose bigger than yourself, for a journey bigger than this life, starting with nothing but this beautiful fundamental belief in the one who made us. That's it. But that faith, when it's grounded in the heart, it changes everything. It changes how we live our lives. It changes how we think. It changes our movements. It changes our words. It changes our interests. It elevates us. It moves us. It really gives us a purpose like no other. And it's real. And it's what we call the truth. And it begins with this testimony that is verbalized by the time when we say ashhadu, I bear witness, ashhadu an la ilaha, I bear witness that there is no one but the one. I choose essentially to submit to the one, because we do submit to things in life. And there's nothing worse than submitting to the self, ego, others. All the things that manifest in our lives are expressions of us submitting to things, including our desires, our passions, our whims, our thoughts, our ego. And they all bring us down. They make us fall on our heads. So sooner or later, it catches up with us, because the heart yearns for the worship of the one. It's wired into us, embedded into us, the desire, the fitrah. It's called fitrah, the innate nature to think of the big questions and to say, I belong to somebody bigger than me. But we're trying to channel that belonging to other things in life that cannot fulfill this core needs. That's why we break down. That's why we struggle and suffer. And then we reach the end of the journey and we're like, oh, I'm still not feeling fulfilled. It's no wonder. It's all in this beautiful statement of faith. The rest of life is all about living this expression. I bear witness that there is no one but Allah. All of life is an expression of that, is a translation of this, from the worship we do, to the gatherings that we have, to the brotherhood and the sisterhood, to our service, to our relationships, to our marriages, to how we raise our children. Everything is an expression of that. And we're on a journey back home, which is what we're talking about. Jason and Benjamin, we're going together for the whole year for this journey of learning about the journey of the hereafter, which is very vivid in Islam. It's well detailed, documented in both the Quran and the narrations from Prophet Muhammad. They tell us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, describes really what we're going to experience after we depart from this life. We don't even call it really death. For us, it's a journey of transitioning from this world to the next, which is really our home. How do we prepare for that journey is what we're talking about in detail. From the moment we come close to that moment of departure, death, to what happens to us when the souls depart, which we're going to get to next time, to what happens to us in the life, what we call the life of the grave, to the moment of resurrection, into what's called the day of reckoning, the day of judgment, which is also described in detail, into ultimately paradise or hell. That's what we're doing. We've been doing for the past 4 weeks, into the rest of the semester, following the following semester, inshallah, will end after Ramadan. So again, pleasure to have both of you. join us in the journey. Please, if you have any questions, don't be shy. In Islam, we say there's no shyness about any question. Every question is a good question. As long as it's real, as long as it's sincere, there's no such thing as taboo topics in our faith. Prophet Muhammad taught us this, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. People were never shy to ask him questions. And nobody's looked down on. And if somebody feels that one day, realize that the person who is giving you that feeling is ignorant. It shouldn't make you feel that way. In Islam, everything is real. Our experiences are real, and Islam is there to help us solve our problems. Not make us struggle with our problems and pretend like we're all right. No, we shouldn't. So please, anybody who has any questions today, we have like a rather short session because of Maghrib. Maghrib comes in the next prayer. The fourth prayer comes in like 40 minutes. So I'm going to need to switch the time for next time, inshallah. I might be out next week because of I have a commitment Tuesday night. So I might be actually coming back in a couple of weeks. So I'll adjust the time. We'll send out the announcement, okay? But I'm going to need to collect feedback from you guys on that. And also, we have people online. It might be 5:30. And then adjust also more after daylight savings time, the change that happens, I think, early November. So we're good? Okay. So where are we? We spent a good amount of time last two sessions talking about, the communal duty that we have towards those who pass away in our community, how we perform the ritual prayer on them, how we wash them, how we wrap them, how they're placed in the grave. There's a specific way to everything in Islam. Even on that, how the person is placed in the grave, how the grave looks like, how the prayer looks like. And it's all an experience of receiving prayers. When somebody's departing from this world, the best thing we can offer them is what? Prayer. Sincere prayer, because they are undergoing a journey that we're going to experience sooner or later. It's only a matter of time before you and me are, again, experiencing the last moment, catching our last breath, our last heartbeat, before we're taken in a stretcher or wrapped up and then being washed and prayed on, and then put in a grave where people are going to offer additional prayers, and then they leave us. And that's it. You're home with Allah. And the grave is the first station of the hereafter. And whatever happens in this moment leading up to death, at death and after death, in the first moments and at the moment of death and right after, indicates to you what your life looks like in the hereafter. That's why it's critical. So you will know Allah doesn't leave you wandering. And we're going to be talking about this. Today we're going to talk about the signs of a good ending. If I were to ask you, like, everybody has a conception of how they want their life to look like, right? Everybody has dreams. I wish I can be this or that. I wish I'll look this way. I wish I'll be perceived this way. I want to ask you today, before we begin, how many of us really think, I'm dreaming about the way my life ends, and I want it to end this way? Honestly, how many of us think about that? Majority of us may not think about this. Why? Because we don't want to think about that. That is not a fun topic to talk about. What I really want to be talking about how I look as I get close to my death, how my life appears. Is this really, like, I don't want to even be talking about death to talk about how I want my life to end or not end. How I don't want it to end. Yet in Islam, this is a critical question to think about. And it has a whole, it's addressed. It's a subject that is categorized, that is studied under what's called the good ending and the bad ending. Husnul Khatima wa Su'ul Khatima. So it's a chapter. You'll open the books of Islam, the sciences of Islam. You're going to find a separate kind of topic dedicated, or chapters dedicated to the study of the subject and how to prepare for a grand ending to your life, a beautiful ending to your life. And we're going to talk about what a beautiful ending looks like, what an awful ending looks like. We're going to talk about the signs of that. We're going to talk about why this is a big deal and how to prepare for a beautiful ending. Cool? This is, inshallah, what we're going to be talking about. First, the why. Like, why Why would Allah want us to have a beautiful ending? Does it even matter? If I'm living in a certain way, why does the ending matter? Well, it turns out that endings are what ultimately express what our journey was about. So if something ends in a beautiful way, rest assured, it's actually providing you, serving you a beautiful beginning to the rest of the journey. Make sense? So whatever happens at the end of our lives determines what happens to us at the moment of death. And that determines what happens to you after death in the grave. And what happens to you in the next world. Whoa. So I can actually tell what my life looks like in the grave and beyond based upon how my life ended. Whoa, what an assurance. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is a major theme for me to highlight for you. Allah does not leave you wandering and confused. How many of us ask, how do I know if Allah is happy with us? Raise your hand. It's a big question, right? How do I know He's not unhappy with me? How do I know, well, I might have a good place in the next world? Should I be terrified for the rest of my life thinking I'm in doom and gloom? Am I going to be wandering without any indication? I want to ask you, how many of us really think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator, the exalted, the perfect, would really leave you so confused and in a state of mystery and in a state of unknowing, not knowing what your life will look like? How many of us would ever think somebody in His majesty, in His care, in His compassion, would really not leave you with a sign or an indication? If you really reflect upon Allah, you'll understand Allah, the infinitely compassionate, the infinitely just, the infinitely merciful, would treat you for sure better than what your parent would treat you with. Would treat you for sure better than your friend. Would treat you for sure better than you treat yourself. And if we in our human conduct do not like to leave people worried, do we? I mean, for good people, you don't like to leave people worried. If somebody's frantic about how what you'll do to them, and you don't want to do anything, like let's say they messed up, and they're afraid of talking to you, and you see that they're worried and they're concerned and they're avoiding them, but you really love them so much and you want them back in your life, what do? They're really worried. Don't you call them and say, listen, don't worry about it. Don't worry, just come, right? If they're worried about a screw up and just facing you for the repercussions, etc., don't you say, listen, chill out, it's not a big deal? Why do you say that? Why do we assure children? Why do we assure frantic people who are afraid in general? And they may be, they might be thinking, I'm about to die or something. Say, don't worry, I'm here for you, right? Because we're human beings that have heart and we care. And one of the things that elicit that sense of care in you and me, Allah put it in us, our human kind of innate nature, is that we want to reassure others, because when they're worried, we don't feel good. When they're anxious, we want to calm them down. It's fulfilling. So I want you to think, if Allah has instilled and embedded in you and me this nature, the desire to calm others down and reassure them, what about Allah Himself? Wouldn't He be reassuring? Wouldn't He be more compassionate that not only is He going to deliver to you joy and fulfillment, no, He would not want you to be anxious. And indeed, if you look at the Quran, this is one of the major reasons why it's filled with glad tidings. Allah keeps saying, don't worry. If you have faith and you're steadfast on it, you're striving on it, what does He keep saying? Give me a verse that indicates that, for example. أَلَا إِنَّ أَوْلِيَاءَ اللَّهِ لَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ. The friends of Allah, Allah says. Look at how loving He is, how infused this verse with His compassion and His care, but also how reassuring. He says the friends of Allah, they should not what? Fear or grief. Why is He saying this? إِنَّ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا رَبُّنَا اللَّهُ ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا تَتَنَزَّلُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ أَلَّا تَخَافُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا. He says, again, people of faith and who are steadfast, they're striving, they're trying their best to keep this faith in their hearts, to uphold it in their lives, etc. Right? They're not perfect. Allah doesn't expect perfection, but they're striving. What does He say? I assure you, He says, that angels will be sent down to them. We're going to talk about it next time. And the angels greet you and reassure you at the moment of death. Don't fear and don't grieve. Well, I'm about to die and leave this world anyway. You can show me in the next moment. Why do you have to send it to me before I die? Or in the moment leading up to my death? To tell you, I care for you and I want you to be what? Calm. I'm not here to scare you. There's no reason to fear me. Wow, what a beautiful, merciful Allah. So for those who are asking, does Allah not show me? No, you'll be seeing. You'll witness signs right now in your life that indicate to you if Allah is happy with you or not. He doesn't leave you wandering. Don't ever think this or believe a person who makes you think that in our journey of faith in Islam, you have to be so confused. No. Allah puts signs in your heart. Allah will make you witness signs, and we're going to talk about some of them. How He'll make you see, you know what? Actually, Allah loves me. Allah cares for me. Allah provides for me. Allah's not going to leave me confused. Any questions on that? This is such a critical thing to know about Allah. And that's why He asks us to have a good opinion of Him. Good opinion of Allah. Don't ever doubt to say, I'm doomed with Allah. Don't ever say that. It's not what Allah loves to see on you. He wants you to see that you trust Him. You trust in His compassion and His mercy with you. But He says the condition is keep striving. Don't take me for granted. Don't disrespect me. He deserves better. This is all He asks for. He's not asking for perfection. But what Allah demands of you means absolute full trust in Him. That He'll take care of us, yes, in this world and the next. And that you're not afraid. Allah doesn't want you to be afraid of Him. He wants you to be reverent of Him. Big difference. Big difference. Fear makes you run away from somebody. Reverence means I respect you. You deserve it. Does it make sense? Any questions on this before we move? Okay. This is the reason why Allah loves to give good endings and bad endings. To show us signs. He's a shaheed. One of the names of Allah is the witness. So He makes us witness. He makes you witness your own ending. And He'll make others learn through witnessing your ending. Are you with me? So not only do we experience that good ending and bad ending, or bad ending, but also we're able to witness others experience it so that we can what? Oh, learn something about Allah. It makes sense? So you learn about Allah's realness and truth of His promise by witnessing others when they're about to depart from this world, how their lives end, how their lives look like at the end of it. So here's how the scholars define the good ending. They define it actually based on a hadith of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, an authentic hadith of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he says, إذا أحب الله عبدا عسله. When Allah loves, look at this language. When Allah loves, and please pay attention to the beauty of the description. Sign of Allah's love for you is what? Asalahu. Asal, you know what asal is? Honey. So this is one of, but here it has a different meaning. But it's related to asal as well. It's like He makes your asal, He just injects honey into you. Like this is what it means? In a way. Right? This is a sweet, beautiful journey of Allah. And look at the usage of the words. So the companions didn't understand what it meant. They said, oh Allah, what does asalahu mean? He says, asalahu means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens the door for him to do righteous things, good things, beautiful things at the end of his life or her life. That Allah guides this person out of love for him or her. That their hearts incline towards good things, pure things, beautiful things, a beautiful life of service to Allah, of faith. Even if they didn't have much of it earlier, maybe. But now somehow they're so interested in that, they don't even know that death is coming. And Allah gears them towards, inclines them towards that. And then while they're in that state, while they're in a state of submission to Allah, of service to Allah, of faith in Allah, He takes them away from this life. To punctuate the end of their lives with that, to tell them, I love you, don't worry about what's next. And others who are seeing them see Allah's generosity and compassion right here. Those signs are not mistakable. They're not to be seen as like, I don't know, maybe not, maybe there's not a sign. No. They're evident, powerful signs, as we'll talk about. So this is what the meaning of it is. On the opposite end, Su'ul Khatima. What is Su'ul Khatima? The scholars say it makes sense. For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is a fitting kind of consequence for the person, for their lives to end, in a foul way, in an arrogant way, in a stubborn, rebellious way, where faith is not important to them, where they're insisting on their path of disobedience and sin and arrogance and broken relationships, on them being right, on them rejecting Allah, rejecting belief in the next world, rejecting everything from Allah. And you notice that they grow nastier and nastier. Don't you notice that in some people? Brothers and sisters, look at the tyrants. Wallahi, as they grow in age, they become nastier and more arrogant and more oppressive. This is, of course, a clear example, but there are others. They could be witness around us in society. As they grow older, they grow less wise, they grow harsher, they smile less. They start to become like, stumble more and hurt themselves and others more. And no matter what advice and counsel comes to them, it doesn't matter. They're like, I don't need you. And they die in that stage. So that's what the bad ending that Allah warns us about. Rasulullah, all the prophets of Allah were worried about that. That's why they said, Ya Allah, grant me a beautiful, good ending. Look, they were so concerned that it was part of their du'as. Your du'as express what matters to you. And we're going to talk about an action item at the end, that this should become part of our du'as. Part of our du'as, Ya Allah, grant me a beautiful ending, just as the prophets did in their lives. There are two states that a person with a bad ending ends their life with. One state is worse than the other. One is that the end of their life is filled with shak, doubt, and rejection. And nothing will soften their hearts. Either that they reject Allah, reject faith, or that they're doubting from the beginning and they remain in that state of doubt no matter the counsel and the advice of them. That's the worst state, because you don't want to die in a state of kufr, in a state of rejecting Allah. That's the worst thing that can happen to a human being. Not that they had kufr before, rejection of Allah, but that their lives end up, even though they knew better. Even though they knew better. The second is that somebody might believe they have faith, but they're not acting on it. They don't care. They're indifferent to it. So they have passion in their hearts and addiction for sin, let's say. And that busies them. It takes over their lives. Here's the problem with it. The problem with addiction to anything is that it takes you over. It busies you. It drowns your heart. And when the heart is drowned with sin, it's veiled. It cannot see. Literally, Allah says, كَلَّا بَلْ أَرَانَ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ مَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ. Whatever they've earned in terms of their disobedience and their sinning, insistent on it. We all make mistakes, but we all sin. But there's an insistence on it, right? There's no attempt to rectify any of it and to get better. That wrong becomes what's called ran in Arabic, means a veil. And if the heart is veiled, it's completely shut down. It cannot see. It cannot see. So it rejects because it's busy. It's drowned. It's filled with that. That's one of the greatest dangers of insistence on sin, is that it fills you, that it has no room for that nur. It has no room for that faith anymore. It cannot coexist with it. So if somebody's really drowning with passion for anything, passion for relationships that are illicit, passion for any desire you can think of. Desire takes them over. Desire for life, for materialistic things, for show off, for anything, right? Is that their lives can end in that way. That instead of them becoming humbled, instead of them thinking, subhanAllah, I need to, do repentance and turn my attention to Allah, they might not even know that their lives are coming to an end. They might be young. Is that their lives, because they worship that desire, what happens is that desire becomes dominant in the final moments of their lives. So instead of when they're reminded, say, La ilaha illallah, or they're invited to do something, come to a halaqah, come read Quran with me, they're like, all they're thinking about, the images in their heads are dominated by what? By their desire. So they're still dreaming about it. There's still, some people are known about how their lives ended. They're literally, say, for example, people are all about money. Literally, they're talking about the deals. It's like, what happens to my investment? What happens to this? That's all they care about. Or that images of the things that they desire pop up in their heads, and they die in that state. So those are the two kind of ways in which somebody with a bad ending can end their lives. So switching back to the good signs or the good ending, what are the signs of a good ending? Is a significant question. They say that a dignified, beautiful way to end for somebody's life to end is manifest in one of four ways or all four ways. There are four forms of it. It's called the honor of the place, honor of the time, honor of the state and action, honor of the words. Means that if Allah has chosen for somebody to have an honorable way to end their lives, He can introduce that honor to them in those four categories of honor. So what does that mean? Honor of place. Give me an honorable place you can die in. Masjid, exactly. How many times have we seen images on the internet of people dying and where? In the masjid. And now I can add to it honor of state while doing what? Sujood, for example. Or they're praying. Or they're reading Quran. Or they're saying. It's already an honored state. Even if they're not in sujood. They're already in an honored state, being in an honored place. What else? Give me another place. Could be. Yeah, if you have good intentions. Yeah, I mean, it's not a masjid, but let's say you're home because you're taking care of your family. You're home or you're visiting the home of your parents. Or a home of a friend you want to take care of. I mean, of course, it's all on intention. But they're sacred spaces. Sacred means a masjid. They're all included. It's all on the intentions, of course. Other places that are, just kind of evident. Yeah, that's martyrdom. Martyrdom. One of the highest, most noble way to exit out of this life, as long as the intention, pure intention is there, is martyrdom. How many categories of martyrdom are there? A lot. One hadith narrates 5 categories, but there are other hadiths that complement it. So it's like a lot. Give me some of them. What's a martyr? What is? Yes, drowning is one of them. Absolutely. What else? If somebody drowns, essentially, they're considered a martyr, not on this rank of somebody who gave up their life in the battlefield, let's say, or in defense of their honor, property, or physical life. But they're definitely martyrs, according to what else?
I have a question. Why, if you drown,
It's a lot. First of all, there's a lot of things in our faith that are just states that Rasul would explain to us. Allah has His wisdom, but somehow because of many of the scholars say because of the difficulty of that death, right? Allah knows best. That's all we can say on it. Anything else? Because you're going to see categories of illness, but not all categories of illness. But Allah knows He might be including everybody with an illness. But somehow these few things are highlighted in the hadith because of the context. Make sense? So what other things? Quickly. Yes. There's yes, it's listed in that hadith of the 5. Somebody with a stomach illness. What else? There's also what's called mat'un, like ta'un, the plague. Again, if a plague affects, like COVID was one of them. The scholars spoke about this. It's like a form of a plague. So people who die in it while having faith are martyrs. What else? Anything else comes to mind? Excellent example. Look at the struggle and how much Allah appreciates the struggle of a mother delivering a baby. In the past, before the advances in medicine, that was like 56, more than 50% chance of death while delivering a baby. You know what Allah said, the hadith, one of the hadiths of Rasulullah said, that baby that causes mom's death, first of all, she's a martyr, for sure. She's a martyr, shaheed. But on top of this child that caused her death will be dragging her with his or her umbilical cord to Jannah. This is so beautiful. It specifically mentioned the umbilical cord, right? Pulling her to Jannah with him or her. Yeah, but yes, exactly. But regardless, actually, somebody, you could imagine the extension on this. If it mentioned, the hadith might mention something, but you can extrapolate on it, and it's like, subhanAllah, Allah is generous. These are just nothing but words, but it's an ocean of possibilities for Allah. But good point. Anything else? It actually says Sahibul Hadn. Sahibul Hadn is somebody who died under ruins. What does that mean? Yeah, of course. Of course, these are already martyrs because they're being killed. But let's say they killed as a result of an earthquake, destruction, physical, like you're in a building and it collapses on you. Anything that is collapsed on you would actually give you that state. And it's just all to tell you, Allah gives you even opportunity to be purified through these difficult deaths. The death itself becomes cleansing for you. Because ultimately what we want to do is come out of this life purified. And our struggles and pain and tribulations and adversity, even the way you die, can cleanse you completely. That the pain of it, even in that final moment, can be a means to forgive you for all that you've done. Make sense? So now going back to the makan, the place is like, remember Hajj is a common example. Like imagine you're in Hajj pilgrimage and your life ends. It's an honorable place. What about honored time? Ramadan, you're fasting. You're in a state of fasting. How many people have died while they're fasting? Wow, when a state of worship in Ramadan. What else? Jum'ah. There's a specific hadith, explicit hadith, authentic hadith that says whoever dies, man mata laylat al-jum'ah wal jum'ah. Whoever dies on the night of Friday. It's actually night of Friday starts after Maghrib. Maghrib is in 15 minutes, right after. It's not Thursday, I'm just saying. After Maghrib, the day begins. Right? The night of into Friday, what? What happens? Jannah. Right? Now, does that make sense? Everybody that dies, Allah knows. Right? We're not the judges of it, but that's a good sign for somebody who's lived a good life, had faith, had were virtuous. If they die in that night, that's a sign from them that is not mistakable. It's in a hadith. What else? Anything else? Any other time? Actually, the hadith says, يَقِيكَ فِتْنَةَ الْقَبْرِ. Whoever dies in a night of Friday into Friday, Allah protects them from the trial of the grave. It's a sign, powerful sign from Allah. These are all signs that are not to be mistaken for something else. They're real. They're signs for the person dying, and they're signs for the person witnessing that they've died on that day or that night. What about the condition, honored condition? Again, really simple, right? Not complicated. You die while? Say it. What? Praying. Yeah, you're making wudu. And in a state of wudu. You're right. That's why one of the simplest things to do. Beautiful example. One of the most powerful things to do, to almost like guarantee a good ending, is to say, I want to be in a wudu all the time. Hard, I know, but it's a beautiful practice because Allah loves it purified. And imagine if your life ends in actually literally physical, spiritual state of purity. Whoa, you saying, and out of intention, I'm going to make wudu, that in case I die, I want to meet Allah in that condition. Having been in a state of ritual ablution to ready myself for the journey, even though the body goes into the ground, but still an expression of how much you love to meet Allah in that beautiful, good smell and physical cleanliness and spiritual cleanliness. Make sense? Beautiful way. Wallahi, brothers, if you can practice this, it's, those who love, Allah says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ التَّوَّابِينَ وَيُحِبُّ الْمُتَطَهِّرِينَ. Allah declares, He says, I love those who keep coming back to me. And I love al-mutatahhirin. What's mutatahhirin? Those who love tahara, purity, cleanliness. And what's a better place to start with than your own body? Out of what? Not because of course you want to be good with, smell good, and look good to people, right? But more important, Allah, because Allah, I want Him to look at me in a state of beauty. And if I die, what a beautiful sign for you. Nobody probably knows, but you didn't have wudu. Awesome. What's coming next is really great, right? So, tahara. What about somebody mentioning Allah? Imagine how simple that is. La ilaha illallah, right? There's a hadith on it, authentic hadith. Rasul says, "Man kana akhiru kalamihi la ilaha illallah." Whoever ends their life with the words "No God but Allah," what complete the hadith? 2 words. دخل الجنة. Yeah, he or she entered Jannah for sure. There's no way Allah is going to punctuate the last your words. Oh, imagine how many words we say. Does anybody know how many words a day? Definitely people who talk more than others, right? So I don't know how many words typically we talk every day. Tens of thousands of words. Imagine the last word of my life is La ilaha illallah. 4 words. What a beautiful sign from Allah for you. You deserve it. It's not like random. If somebody has not lived it, it's so far from them, they reject it. They're not going to end up, their tongues will be tied up. But more importantly, maybe they cannot speak. Maybe they're saying it in their hearts. So don't judge if somebody is not able to say it, because some people start to push somebody who's about to go, like, say it. They might not be able to say it. They might be saying it here. They might be unconscious. They might be saying it in their souls. So don't judge them on that. Makes sense? Because some people have come up to me and say, I really tried to tell my dad to say it, but they didn't say, is he doomed? I'm like, no, don't think like that. Think well of Allah. They're not in a condition to necessarily say it. So not everybody might be able to hear it or say it. Are you with me? That's why you should give what's called talqeen to the deceased gently, not forcing them, because you don't know their state. We'll talk about it next time, inshallah. Imagine reading the Quran. Imagine going to check on somebody who's afflicted, and they're in the path to help them out, serving others, struggling because they've gone on a journey. SubhanAllah, to help somebody. I'm like, wallah, I'm still blown away by that Turkish girl who was martyred in Palestine. I mean, like, she left here, right? She's like all levels of martyrdom here, but like she died in a sacred land, Palestine. She was killed. Have you heard about her? Like, what is it? When was it? 4 weeks ago or something? They murdered her. Like, clearly targeted her, Israeli soldiers, and killed her, like in cold blood. But I'm amazed. Young person in college, or right after she finished college, I think she's probably 25. And I'm like, wow, went to a sacred land for the sake of Allah and truth and justice, to protect others. And like, it combined the state, the place, etc., and it's like pretty much a battlefield as well. So you could think of all examples of people that you heard about, that Allah's shown you how their lives, and if you know nothing about her, you could tell right away. Well, I was talking to my wife, like, I don't know this girl, but I could, based on the ending, you could tell how good of a person she was, how beautiful of a person she was, how amazing of a person. There's no way her life would end in such honorable way, except that it was a sign of Allah's love for her, because it was in her heart. She meant it. She strived to help, relieve those who were afflicted. Wow, when you push, Allah honors you. Honors you. He will use you for amazing things. Will wake up hearts through you. Okay. And imagine now the state of that you witness. How often have we heard of people who were, let's say, washing some, well, this is on the washing, but we're going to get into signs that you witnessed. You know, we talked about signs you witness up to the point or right before death, into the moment of death, and right after. And there's all, like, you know, there's a good ending, but there's also what happens at death and after. And how often for us, we have, I don't know, heard, not necessarily seen, people who have passed away that you're washing, or that perhaps you were seeing on their deathbed before they died, and you say, I swear I smell the beautiful smell from them coming out of their bodies. And I've heard it myself, like from others, say, I swear I smelled musk. And there was no musk in the room, right? Or that what or something in their face that we commonly hear about. What is it? What is it? Noor, glow on their faces. Noor, or smile on their faces. This is so common. You hear it all the time. You know, that amazing. Are these again false signs? Absolutely not. These are real beautiful signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But most important, really, brothers and sisters, is that for this person's hearts to soften, for they to become gentler and closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to love pleasing Allah at the end of their lives. Now, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, this is like the causes. The next question should be then, how do I experience a beautiful end? How do I experience a beautiful end? Well, it's all summed up, in one verse and one hadith. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in a beautiful verse of assurance, وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُضِيعَ إِيمَانَكُمْ. Allah will never cause your faith to be lost, and labor and efforts. This is so beautiful. I guarantee, in this world, based on the calculations and the framework of this world and how people treat us, you're not guaranteed to be rewarded for your efforts, are you? How often have you studied and worked? You're behind off, only for somebody to give you a big zero. Accused of cheating, or somebody didn't cheat. They look just like that. It's like, yep, that's it. Do whatever you want to do. You're not getting it. Worked hard for a job, worked hard for a relationship, striving, investing, and then you get nothing. You lose it all. The theme of this world is that you're not guaranteed anything. Good luck, tough luck, right? That's what we say. Not Allah. There's not a thing you do for Him that nobody would even know about. You wouldn't even know about. A moment of faith, of sweat. You help somebody out. Nobody saw that. You saved an ounce. You did anything good. He says all good will be restored for you. Recorded, and it's never lost. And even the faith in your heart that nobody can see, and sometimes even you had that faith in your heart right now, it's such a big deal to Allah that He says, I'll never waste that for you. Which means what? Don't worry. If you have faith in your heart, it's what matters to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in a hadith, Man mata ala shay'in bu'itha alayh. Whoever dies in a condition, look at to reassure you, whoever dies in a condition, or look at all these signs we talked about, they'll be resurrected in that condition. That's a consequence. So imagine, the states that we talked about, somebody dying while they're remembering Allah, reading Quran, fasting, serving somebody else, caring for somebody else. Guess how they'll be resurrected? They're going to be resurrected doing these things. Imagine the honor coming out of the grave, witnessed by the creation, angels, and you're going to be coming out shouting the word La ilaha illallah. Perhaps prostrating. Allah says, do you think what's going to be happening next is bad news for you? 100% no. You see how they're all connected? And it all starts in this life. The glad tidings that you hear after do not start then. Start here. And how do I know then that I can have a good glad tiding at the end of my life? Rasulullah said that hadith, the scholars extrapolated on. So they said, just as a person will be resurrected in the way their lives ended, extrapolating on this, it means man asha ala shay'in mata alayhi. It means that however a person lives, their lives will end accordingly. There's your answer. So you want the beautiful ending? Make your life beautiful now. You want your life to end on faith? Have faith now. So what is the means then? Very simple. Allah defined it. Faith and steadfastness. It means repenting sooner than later. It means striving for Allah. It means if we don't have Quran, bring the Quran into our lives. It means pushing ourselves with Allah. And it means asking Allah for that beautiful ending. A lot of dua, supplicating, praying, a lot of remembering Allah with our tongues and hearts, a lot of striving for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a lot of what veils us? What can obstruct the path? What can deter you? Have a minute. Sins and addictions, the things that we were talking about earlier. Rasulullah says, there's not a thing that can devastate the human being like al-hawa wa tul al-amal. Hawa is passion, desire. Oh, we worship it. That can really take over the heart, that you don't have time for repentance. And as a consequence of desire, you keep pushing change. Later, because I'm too young. طول الأمل. Later. Like I remember when I was younger, there's some messed up teenagers around us. They're like, oh, he's like, I will never forget one of the kids in the neighborhood. Like, I'm gonna do this and this and this and that. Awful things. I'm like, are you serious? Like what? You're actually saying? He's like, yeah, and then I'll do Hajj. I'll never forget it. It's like, and then huh? Then you do Hajj? I'm like, yeah, it absolves everything. I'm like, whoa, you have too much of a confidence in this, and subhanAllah. Like you can't play games with Allah. Pushing change. Let me join myself now. How do you know that you're not gonna die in that condition right now? How do you know that you'll have the next breath? Brothers and sisters, every day I hear about deaths, right? Of people actually, like within the vicinity and the network that I know, wallahi. My brother would just call me yesterday, like, guess who died, Tarif? Like, oh no, who else? He's like, do you know my friend? His name is Joe. Very good guy. I know him very well. I'm like, are you kidding? He's actually young. He's like 60 years old. He's like, yeah, he got the cancer diagnosis 2 months ago, stage 4, just passed away. I'm like, oh, there's young teenagers, just children. Like, no, this is somebody I knew well just hours ago. I'm like, you're kidding, right? Just like that. Just like that, it's gonna happen. No time for Hajj in 10 years. And Allah says, now, what can you do now? I'm not talking about Hajj necessarily. I'm talking about the change now. So let's end, inshallah. I'm not done. Like, what time is Maghrib? No, we're gonna make Adhan now. I think, what time is Iqamah? 10 minutes after? Do you guys want to do some after?
Yeah.
Or, okay, let's wrap. And we'll come for another 15 minutes. I'll wrap up this up, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Let's inshallah make Adhan. Adhan. It's time for Adhan. All right. All right. It's a bit of noise there. All right, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah. Jazakumullah khair for coming back, also online, for your patience. So inshallah, I have a little bit more, a few more things, but inshallah, because some people have left, I don't want to, I've had some stories that I wanted to share, but I think inshallah I'll leave them till next time. So let me do this, inshallah. So again, this is just to kind of summarize. One of the most beautiful and precious gifts that Allah can give a human being, to really bring your life to a beautiful ending. And it is or serves as a greater indicator for you, a powerful sign from the merciful one as to your status with him. Right? So it's his generous love and affection for the human being that he grants in this beautiful ending that they themselves can take as an assurance from Allah. Don't worry, don't grieve, and don't fear. So while people are crying over you, you're not crying. You're witnessing things that they cannot witness, and you're already seeing the signs in you. And the physical signs, the visible signs, the outward signs, are an indication of the inward signs. Can you imagine what this person is feeling in their hearts if that's what you're witnessing on them? If you're smelling musk on them, if there's a glow in their faces, if they're dying while praying. Like, I just want to share with you, there's this beautiful Imam Sheikh overseas. It's known story. He was really popular speaker in the 70s and the 80s, and he moved like the ummah, right? Really, really phenomenal, powerful. When he speaks, the pulpit shakes from his truthfulness, sincerity, and the power of his message. He feared no tyrants, no rulers. He was in prison for a very long time. Amazing. And I'm going to call them tapes, right? Because at the time we were listening to tapes by this sheikh. I grew up just listening to him, just move. So just get ready to be shaken in a beautiful way, right? He really was a voice of truth. And there are people that Allah puts on earth to remind you of the truth. You know when he died? He was a blind man. He was a blind man. And I'll never forget when he died. I'm like, how is this sheikh gonna die? Like one day he's gonna die. Like he's so powerful. Yet he has no vision. And he was in prison for years and years. Political oppression. You know he died, brothers and sisters. He was the man of the pulpit. Guess where he died? Right after the pulpit. Jummah prayer. He finished his khutbah. He was known for his khutbahs. Nobody gives khutbahs like him. That's it. Very simple. Like millions of people have just wait for the new tape to come out by this guy. Died on Jummah right after delivering the sermon, leading the large community in Salah, and guess where he dies? Sujood. On a Friday, Jummah prayer in a mosque, right? And this is legacy. I'm like, so anybody doubting him, enough for you to witness this. Imagine what he's seeing in his heart and his soul. Tell me this, Allah doesn't love this man. What more signs can somebody witness? Wallahi, another person I know, right, without naming who, very close to me. Wallahi, this person loved the masjid, loved fasting, loved Taraweeh prayer, loved serving people. Wallahi, I mean, his life was like that. I know it. I witnessed it. Witnessed it. That's actually my father-in-law. That's just inspired me. Like it's his heart. He's not a man who's going to talk much about I know this or now that, but he lived it. Lived it, brothers and sisters. He dies. It was a shock for all of us when he passed away. Like now it's been 5 years, 6 years. So I'm coming back. I'll just finish Taraweeh prayer locally, and I'm just just going home. So 12 a.m. about to sleep to get up for last 10 nights of Ramadan. To get up for 3 o'clock, resume the activities in the masjid. I was an imam of this masjid. So anyway, so my wife, like literally as I got, I was like, no, actually, she called me in the masjid, so I had to rush home. She's like, my dad, right? And I'm like, what's happening? She's like, just, my brother just called me. He's like, they found him laying down in his room. So it was a night of Friday too. Last 10 nights of Ramadan. I'll never forget it. And he went into a coma. So what happened is that he just finished Taraweeh. Literally, as soon as he finished, he went home, got into the room, he was about to change, collapsed. Night of Friday. I'll never forget it. So Allah knows, like hemorrhaging in his brain or a stroke. Nobody knows. And within hours, like around 4 a.m. Friday morning, 4 a.m. So we, just flew there directly and witnessed him in his last size, like beautiful glow in his face. Allah will never forget it, right? A man of peace, of service to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala throughout his life. So I'm just saying, we've heard of these stories. We've witnessed them. It correlated exactly with how he lived his life. Just as this imam, this sheikh, correlated exactly with how he lived his life, because Allah is just and merciful. However you live, you shall die. If you want to know how you're going to die, see how your life is looking like right now. But it doesn't mean you cannot change. You cannot choose. Like I would like some more time to improve my life, right? It doesn't mean, Allah is going to take you in this condition. What's in your heart? What do you want? Is this a matter that is important to you? This is why, and this is an action for today. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, I shared this verse with, I think, the first session or second session, punctuating the end of the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, right? I'm going to bring you back there to see what your memory looks like. The whole journey of struggle, of triumph, of witnessing Allah's signs for him, of being seduced, of being enslaved, of his brothers turning on him, all that happened, then they're restored together, right? And he's now the King of Kings, the Savior who can get so filled with himself, but instead humbly forgives his brothers. The family's gathered. What else do you want to do, ya Yusuf? Not Ibrahim. Ibrahim, I'm going to get to him. Yusuf alayhi salam now. So he says, I'm going to take some time, like just step away from the scene. So imagine people are sitting around, your family happy, everybody's like back together. You're like, I need to step away for a little bit. So he steps away from the scene to do something. What was it? Who remembers? Talk to, I like to call it talk to Allah, because he was talking to Allah, then make dua. So the dua comes at the end, but it's all dua. Dua is not just I ask, give me. It's a conversation. He went to have a conversation with Allah. And what the conversations? Just recall some meanings for him. Do you remember? What did he say? First thing, when you begin talking to Allah, what should you do? Exactly. Praise Allah. Genuine, authentic. Ya Allah, I'm grateful to you. Really, really, thank you. Allah says, you want to preserve a gift? Thank Allah for it. And instead of saying, I have to do this, I get to do this. I have to go take care of my, whatever, my sibling, my friend. I have to go to school. I get to go to school. I get to eat. I get to rest. I get to sleep. I get to study. It's a privilege. And you know when you do this, what happens means you're grateful. And you know what happens when you're grateful? Allah will not take it away from you. I get to see. I'm seeing. Well, I have a friend, I told you this before, like he's blind. And I've seen what happened in his life. Like blind, cannot even move. Well, it's like here and there, just remember my vision when I'm thinking of my problems, like, but if you see, I see. Like you see, brothers and sisters, you understand? A friend of mine just lost half of his vision. Another friend. I just took him to the ophthalmologist. He's like, you cannot see in your right eye. Ya Allah, like that's the second friend, and he's young. It's my age. Can't see half of his eyes, and the other is on its way. Like God's seeing. Allah's reminding me right now. Wow. Just as I think of my problems, like you can see. Wow. You can move. You can eat. You can swallow. You get to do these things in life. If you look at them as a burden, it'll be a burden, and one day you're gonna lose that gift. The opportunity. I get to sit in the halaqah. I get to come to the musalla. I get to hug my friend, be nice to her, right? I get to talk to my brothers and wow, benefit from Derek is here, man. You know what I'm saying? I get to look at his smile. I get to, wow. And if I need help, I get to help him. Not I have to help him. Make sense? Look at this. It's all in the heart. So what is he saying? I pray, Ya Allah, I thank you for the gift of knowledge and gift of this dominion you've given me, this power. I get this because of you. Then he prays him. He's saying, Ya Allah, you're the originator of the heavens and the earth. You originated it from nothing. How would you not take care of me? You're capable of doing anything. You are the one who says to the thing, be and it is. You brought it from nothing. Would my problem be overwhelming for Allah? For those who are like, oh, too much, too big. No, but Allah has a plan and a time. That's it. Even when you witness the oppressors, don't worry about them. Their days end. It's coming. But Allah has a plan. That's it. Has a wisdom beyond us. Not because Allah is not capable. Not because Allah is not answering. Because Allah's purpose is bigger. Make sense? And then he speaks so intimately by saying, Ya Allah, you're my protecting friend. Wali. Wali is a beautiful name of Allah. Anta wali. Enough for you to know Allah is your wali. What is wali? Again, protecting friend. It has wilaya in it, protection, and wali is also a friend. Both meanings are in it. Well, imagine talking to Allah, Ya Allah, you're my wali. Tawallani. Take care of me. But he's saying it with confidence. He's not just asking, he says, you are. Because it's a given. I'm not debating or doubting it. You are my protector in this world and the next. Look at this beautiful conversation. Wallah, I repeat it because I want you to start talking like this though. And if somebody can look up the verse, go, please, homework for you tonight, go look at this verse. Can you look it up? End of the story. Then he asked for something. It's related to our lesson today. What did he say? Now, after this beautiful conversation, I want to ask Allah. After you praised him, you were speaking intimately with him, you expressed what he means to you, then go ahead and ask. What would you ask for? He asked for two things. Allahu Akbar. So I want everybody to be with me in the next 5 minutes. This is a big deal. Of all things you're going to ask for in this world, he didn't talk about now. He talked about when? When I die. All he's thinking was like, this life, it's not going to come and go. The problems, the tribulations, they passed. You know, all these problems you're going to be going through, they'll pass. Wallahi, they'll pass. The pleasures, they'll pass. So he's already thinking, like, I got it all. I went through everything. It's all going to end. So my concern is with what? The moment of the end. How is my life going to end? So listen, his only request in the dua, one dua that captures all of life, and he made one dua for the next world. 2 duas, that's it. What the first one? Tawaffani Muslima. Ya Allah, when you take me as a Muslim. What? That's it? 2 words? That's all you can. Yusuf, you're a genius, man. You want to ask for anything else? Nope. Tawaffani Muslima. Because if I do, that means everything is good. It sums up everything. Everything. Ya Allah, take me as a Muslim. Now, I'm going to say the next one. Well, actually, before I go, what is Muslim here? Submitter, like, yeah, tell me more. I want to hear more. What does it mean to you? If you say this, if you start using this dua, what does it mean to you? Tawaffani Muslima. Take me as a Muslim. Just somebody registered La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. What is Islam here? Where is it? In his heart. What kind of a heart has true submission? What is it? What is it filled with? What? Say it. Just say it. No, nothing is going to be wrong. Trust me. Peace. Exactly. What else? Iman. Faith. Real faith in Allah. Taqwa. God consciousness. All of it is incorporated. But I'm going to add to it. I'm yours. Submit to you. You know what's beautiful concept? It's the concept. Because it means I am turning to you, not to the world. I belong to you, not to my desires, not to my ego. I worship you, I don't worship me. I don't worship humans. I don't worship fame. I don't worship fitting in. I don't worship the temporary pleasures. I worship you. All in Islam. When he said, it's a deep statement. When I say, make me die in a state of total submission to you, not to my ego and anything else, means I don't want this world. Yours, I'm yours. But I don't guarantee my heart will be that way when I die. Say, Allah, make my heart desire you. That when I end my life, all I want is you. That's Muslim. And I'm not doubting. Another thing in Islam, a heart that is filled with Islam is that it doesn't doubt Allah. You with me? It's that there's no doubt here. I'm not sure about Allah, His mercy, His forgiveness, His justice. Ya Allah, please make my heart be in a total state of certainty about you. All that is in the word Islam. Tawaffani, or Muslim. That's what a real Muslim looks like, by the way. Not somebody who's just, you took your shahada, mashallah, right? Muslim, mashallah, you prayed. No, what's happening? Allah looks at the heart before anything else. Now, Ibrahim echoed something similar. In Surah Shu'ara, we see a beautiful, also dua conversation between Ibrahim and Allah. So here's what he says. It's a long dua. It deserves a whole session. He says, regarding this world, he delineated more. He explained, like, Allah, grant me wisdom, show me the righteous. Anyway, grant me, but here's how he knew he was coming to die. One day he says, Ya Allah, grant me, look at this. Still relating to how he ends and leaves. Grant me honorable mention on the tongues of the creation after I die. Wow, he's thinking about his death and how will people perceive me after my death? But not in terms of fame. He's like, my life is going to end, but I want the record to continue. I want my impact to continue. I want the fruits to continue to come out. But my life is over. I can't do. So what's the way to extend your life? If somebody, one person, just does something good you were doing because you did it. They're inspired by it. They're like, wow, I remember Muhammad, Fatima, like, oh man, you used to smile. And Allah, I need to smile more. Imagine that, just that thing. So don't think it's just because of the way they prayed or fasted. No, it could be character. It could be your adab. It could be your courtesy. It could be your care for somebody and your generosity. Oh, you know what? That's their life. Ya Allah, make me do one thing they've done. So Ibrahim is asking for that. Ya Allah, after me, I want my life to be extended, multiplied, right? Make them mention me in a good way, righteous way, though. Not fake, not with a statue. Michael Jordan, I don't know what. They're making these statues for them. Wow, glory, right? Glory statue. Then what? Worship this. What is this life? Right? At the end, everybody is envious of their money. Anyway, it's like nobody cares for them. Trust me. And they're miserable anyway because they no longer have that fame. Right? I don't want the statue. He said, no, I want real people to really want to imitate my way. But I can't do that for myself. Give me that. But then he says, Ya Allah, don't disgrace me on the day of judgment. And then he says, on the day when nothing benefits, except, it will benefit you except, meaning money and children will not benefit you except if you had what? Sound heart. Use a word, not Islam, Salim, but same expression, similar. Wow. They're all worried about their hearts, how their lives, what kind of a heart. Imagine if your heart ends up like we're now busy with fights and quibbling and somebody did this to me, I hate them, this, that. You know, these things that like, oh, wallahi, some people's Muslims' lives are like that. Right? A lot of those. That's it, drama, morning to evening. But don't think like typically we think of sins like has to be something like the major sins we think of. That could be this worse. It chews up their hearts. And they'll be like silly, like mashallah, praying, fasting, but their hearts rancor, hate, jealousy, wanting to hurt others. Imagine a heart, is this qalb salim? Deeply defective, but with the guise, outward appearance of righteousness. Scary. Like this contradiction is scary. Like look at what Ibrahim says, Ya Allah, don't make me end my life like that. I want a heart that is totally in peace with Allah, peace with itself, peace with the creation. Peace. Not filled with anything that veils this heart from Allah. Because guess what? What Allah is looking at is your heart. And if somebody's heart is veiled, then Allah will not look at it. That's it. A heart that is sincere, filled with absolute care for, submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, care for the creation of Allah, love, sincerity, the most beautiful hearts to Allah. And by the way, hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he actually said, remember the hadith that I shared with you before? Allah has vessels on earth. And what are the vessels of Allah? Hearts. Why vessel? Why did he describe it as a vessel? Exactly. Vessel contains things. Pour things in them. And he's going to pour what into them? It's his vessels. So imagine if Allah's vessel, what is he going to fill it with? Sweetness, faith, beauty. That's why the heart is the work of Allah. Really, it's a special product. He says, my vessels are the hearts of the righteous. And the most beloved of vessels, some vessels we put in a special cabinet, right? Nobody touched those, right? Like the special china, right? You put them in another like shelf in a different cabinet. Kids that are, like they don't even know where that is, right? Guess what those vessels are? He said, describe them. Which hearts then? Which vessels are the most beloved to Allah? He said, you use two words. Hey, you should be like, I pray to Allah, I'm one of them. Before you hear it, what are they? Which hearts? Give me qualities. Yeah, Salim overall. But specifically, what makes it Salim? Of course, faith. I get that. Like, that's a given. But it has a quality that makes it so beautiful. It's witnessed by the creation. It's about something you treat people with. أرقها وألينها وألينها ورقها. What does that mean? لين رقيق. لين رقيق. Gentle and soft. And notice the vessel that is gentle, it means it can what? Take more. It's flexible. Right? Does that make sense? Like, of all hearts, he didn't say harsh, right? You know, hearts that are harsh, hard. Allah hates those. Doesn't like hearts that are like those. So he's saying the most beloved hearts are the gentlest and the softest. What a beautiful way to Now imagine your life is shifting towards that as you grow older, becoming softer, gentler, more compassionate, more connected to Allah and His creation, more caring. That's a beautiful sign. So I'm going back to Yusuf. He said, Ya Allah, make me die. Notice, he wants a beautiful ending. And he understood that to have a beautiful ending, you need to have a heart that is salim, in submission to Allah, worships Allah. And that is not worshiping desire or anything else that is taken over our hearts and souls. But the next thing he asked for what? Next world, he asked for one more thing. That's it. Al-hiqni bis-salihin. Ya Allah, when I'm there, join me with the righteous, beautiful people with hearts like that. So he still wants to be with hearts of people like that. Make sense? Who love Allah. Because he understood we need company. Even Jannah is not Jannah without company. Jannah empty. Adam got bored. Of course, he cannot get bored in Jannah, but Allah knew He wired him to want companionship. So He created who for him? Hawa. Yes, there is marriage in Jannah and a beautiful companionship. One of the delights of Jannah, as Allah describes in the Quran, is companionship. You with me? So he asked for that. Because you cannot thrive or blossom or rejoice without a beautiful, righteous, loving company. How do you know you're going to have that? By your company here. Everything has a correlation. But I'm just saying, like Yusuf asked for that. So one of the main action item for today is to actually, for you to have a beautiful ending, is to do what? Ask for it, exactly. Urzuqni grami husna al-khitam. Tawaffani muslima. Do you have the verse number, Noor? Okay, and I'm ending here, inshallah. It's at the end, like last two pages. Top of the last two pages, the top of like the page before last at the top. The page, like if it's 100, I think, how many verses is it? 110 verses? Okay.
Oh, it's 101.
101? Verse 101, Surah Yusuf. Please, it's one of the most beautiful verses Allah have come across. Look at it and learn how to talk to Allah through that verse. And remember the dua. What's the dua? Let's repeat it. Of course, in Arabic, tawaffani muslima wa alhiqni bis salihin. But care for these things. Desire these things. Ya Allah, translation, make me die as a Muslim. And join me with the righteous. Ya Allah, like Yusuf, I'm asking you for this. I trust you. Don't doubt Allah. Don't doubt Allah. Wallahi, Allah will steer you and your life and your heart and your soul to become worthy of having a beautiful ending. That's not only an assurance for you, but that becomes a sign for others. That others are moved closer to Allah through witnessing your death. Like, whoa, do you see what I've seen on her? Did you get what I'm saying? Like, wow, their lives ended in serving Allah or whatever they've seen, right? It's like Allah, to this day, the people that I've seen, their lives ended that way, I still talk about them, reflect like, wow, Ya Allah, don't give me something like that or better, right? That's because that's the summary of your life. All this goes away every day. Your life is going to come to an end. What's the end of the story? Usually we look for like the story to have a good ending. And if it's not a good ending, it's like, oh man, what a movie that was. Horrible. I wasted my time for them to make me miserable at the end, right? So, alhamdulillah. Any questions? Okay, I'm going to share one story with you. Little, from a hadith. This is very quick. Because I'm going to leave the bigger one for later. Inshallah for next time. Khadija radiallahu anha, she was, how much did Allah love her? A lot. Why? She's done for Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam with no other human being has done. Khadija radiallahu anha. She served him while he was in the weakest point of his life. Stood for him, assured him, comforted him, provided for him, supported him. She was a pillar. For me, like, wow, what a woman. Like for me, Khadija, when I think of Khadija, it's the prototype Muslim woman. Prototype Muslim woman, to me is Khadija radiallahu anha. Really. Just as Rasul is the prototype, like he's a prototype for everyone. He's the grand prototype, right? But a female prototype, like under Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, wow, an inspiration and a model to look at is look at Khadija, how she was as a Muslim, as a believer, as a mother, as a wife, as a friend, as a businesswoman. Like, I don't know how she did it, but chosen, right? So she clearly had a special status with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, clearly it's obvious where Khadija is going to go in the next world, right? Where's she going to go? Jannah. But yet, Allah's chosen a beautiful way to end her life. She died ill, by the way. Very hard illness. How did she die? Who knows? Exactly. Goodness, but since she got sick under a 3-year boycott where they were gone hungry. Because they were boycotted, besieged and boycotted in Mecca by the tribes of Mecca that wanted to just punish them through economic sanctions. So they cornered the tribe of Rasulullah, put them in a little quarter, like an area of Mecca, in a valley, besiege them and cut off from them all trade, all relationships, 3 years. People got hungry and died, and she got sick and died after the end of the boycott. So, you know what Allah has, before her death, I don't know the period of time, but it could have been days or weeks. Clearly, she knows in her heart, like Allah loves her, right? It's like, it's an evident path to Jannah, right? But yet Allah wanted to still send her a beautiful message that she hears to know what love is waiting for her. And for others to hear this message. So who knows the story? Yes. Exactly. Yes. So, okay, here's what happened. Want to say anything else, Noor?
And that he promised her a palace with no noise and no stress.
Exactly. For what? Yeah, qasab here is pearls. Yeah, pearls. No, look, there's another word for it. As you know, in Arabic, countless words for something. I bet you it's specific type of lu'lu', but it's good. Glad you got the word lu'lu'. So and I want to ask you a question, why? So the hadith says while she was doing what? Serving her husband, doing what? What was she bringing him? Yeah. Exactly. She was bringing milk to Prophet Muhammad. At her old age, she's not and still wanting to serve her beloved, right? She's bringing him milk or food, whatever she's bringing him for his, subhanAllah, fulfillment. The milk, she comes with it. And what does he tell her when he saw her? Guess who just came here? It's very amazing. It's like her glad tidings right now. It's coming. Powerful. Even Rasul had to see it. Allah just sent Jibreel to me. And what does he say? He delivers to you a salam from Allah. And he tells you something is waiting for you. You shall have a palace in paradise made of pearls, special pearls of Jannah, where there is no noise, there's no toil. Too much of the noise you've experienced in life, noise of the mushrikeen, of the people who hurt you, hurt Rasul. No, none of that noise anymore. And all you're told, you're about to die from illness. You've gone through a lot. You've physically given your body up for this faith and for Rasul. Don't worry, no more toil. That's waiting for you. What a beautiful way to whoa. Who gets that? Jibreel is going to come for you and me to deliver salam from Allah. Clearly, Khadija deserves that, right? We have other signs that we can experience. But the question that I end with is why? Why does she get that? She's Khadija. Does she need that? She's about to see Jibreel. She's about to go into the next world and be greeted by the angels. A grand procession by angels is waiting for her. To elevate her, the heavens are about to open for her. Why send her somebody in this world to tell her this? Glad tidings, absolutely. But exactly. More on it.
Reassurance.
Exactly. It's a reassurance, it's a glad tidings, but also to show you Allah's nature. It's His nature that even if you know something, I'm about to send even more powerful signs. And he wants who to see? The world. Because she might have gotten a secret glad tidings, but you and I wouldn't know. He's also talking to us. That could be waiting for you. I'm waiting for you. Does that make sense? So he's sending us the glad tidings to reassure us as well, not just her. She's reassured. This is more, and by the way, she was so happy. It's like me, like Allah sent greeting to Jibril. Whoa, like what excitement is that? What joy is that? To know Allah is greeting me. And imagine what is going to happen when I see him. That's Allah's, it's an expression of his love. Ultimately, I want to say Allah's expressing his love and affection. And he's not going to wait. He doesn't want you to have a atom's weight of concern, atom's weight of fear, atom's weight of anxiety. Even Khadija, who is not, you're going to have it, Khadija. And I want the whole world to learn this, to witness the honor that Allah bestows upon somebody who's dedicated his life for Allah. I want to send Jibril down and angels down to carry my greeting and to give them the glad tidings of a beautiful, blissful home waiting for them as an expression of Allah's love. Like, wow, Khadija. Allah join us with Khadija, radiallahu anha. Maybe get to visit her in her home. Hey, dream about it, right? Ask for it. I really mean it. It's like, Allah, make me see that home you told Khadija about. All right. So alhamdulillah, I'm ending here, inshallah. Any questions? Inshallah, we'll next time I'll share another inshallah story from the companions. Beautiful also. And it has some key lessons in it. Talking about signs of somebody when they died, what happened to them, right? Something in the heavens that happened. And then we'll seg into the journey of the soul. So it happens at death for the soul. Believing soul and wicked soul. What do they experience? Questions? Hey, and online too. If you have any questions, please. I'm going to say, yalla. Questions, comments, thoughts, du'as. If you don't have it, it's okay. You good? Okay. Barakallah fikum. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be pleased with every soul here, to fulfill every need, to rectify every heart, to heal every soul, to answer every dua of everybody here in this musalla. Ameen. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us a beautiful ending to our lives. ربنا توفنا مسلمين والحقنا بالصالحين ربي توفني مسلما والحقني بالصالحين واجعل لي لسان صدق في الآخرين. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to relieve our brothers and sisters in adversity, locally and globally. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to relieve our brothers and sisters and families in Palestine, Gaza, Lebanon, Sudan, Kashmir, the Rohingya, the Uyghurs, wherever there's heavy adversity that we cannot even understand. Ask Allah to relieve them and have mercy on them, and to open doors of imminent victory and relief for every soul there. We ask Allah to have mercy on their martyrs, to join them with their families in the next world, to compensate them for all of their striving and efforts and pain. Ask Allah to bless this community, bless this musalla for us, bless our efforts, bless our studying, our striving. Ask Allah to grant every student here patience and fortitude in their studies, to grant them success and beautiful outcomes and the fruits of their labor by earning their degrees and going on to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this earth. Ask Allah to grant everybody here a righteous spouse and righteous children and a righteous life, and to make us beautiful examples for all of earth. Ameen, ameen, ameen. Sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi.